Years and years ago, people treated employees like a commodity, right? People in their ivory towers, sitting in their big offices, treating the people who worked for them as like lesser beings. That's definitely not the way. I think you've got to be fair and authentic with people. I find with all the workforces, if you give them an answer to a question, they might not like the answer, but the fact that they've got the answer from someone is a really positive thing.
Our relationship with technology is evolving rapidly. As AI is changing businesses and reshape our world, what does the future hold? Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of AI Business Transformation. I'm Michael Coppola, and today I'm really excited to be here with Stephen Joyce, Executive Director and Chief People Officer of Forge Holiday Group. Hi, Stephen.
How you doing, Michael?
Thank you. Thank you to be here. Really excited to dive into your journey. In fact, if you want, can you give a little bit of introduction about your journey and how have you taken your latest position, and also talk about a bit what are some of the main exciting challenges that you are having as a Chief People Officer at Forge Holiday Group.
Okay, gladly. I am working at Forge Holiday Group, as you say, and I've been here for, I think it'll be 4 years in March. So it's been an interesting time. My career has been, as you can probably see by my complexion, has been going a long time. So I've been working in HR now for 25 to 30 years, across a range of different sectors. I've worked in financial services, large-scale outsourcing, aerospace, housing construction, and now travel. So I tend to find that human resources, people are the same irrespective of sector. The challenges remain the same, just that the businesses are slightly different. Forge Holiday Group is a fantastic business that I joined 4 years ago. It's a collection of UK staycation businesses with a small international business in New Zealand as well that forms part of the group. And largely we create amazing escapes for people to go on holiday. The workforce currently about 1,800 people. Challenges, I think, like most chief people officers across the world, that I tend to speak to. People issues, the needs and wants of the employees has changed over the years from when I first started to what they expect from an employer today. And then I think something that we'll probably talk about a lot is the emergence of artificial intelligence, how that's weaving its way into both business and employees' lives, both business and personal. So yeah, it's never a dull day. It's exciting, but I think we're at this real point of change in the employee experience cycle. So it's keeping me interested, put it that way. I'm busy.
Yeah, definitely. I understand. Yeah, you probably have a lot of on your side. And talking about from your HR perspective, you have mentioned that HR is about unlocking business performance through people. So can you dive into that and can you explain more in details what that means and how also in practice, how that could, look like?
Yeah. I mean, I just think this is a tale as old as time. I think a happy workforce delivers better business benefit, and that's something that I've focused on throughout my career. I think if you can get staffs, let's be honest, right? Your personal life is just as busy as your work life. I've always said this in things that I've talked about before. I don't believe in work-life balance because there's no such thing. Sometimes your work schedule is through the roof. Sometimes life, family, children, and all your responsibilities are through the roof. If you can get that blend to work perfectly, then I think it makes it for a great place to work. So everywhere I've worked has been about having really engaged staff who are trusted and empowered to do the job that you're paying them to do. If you can get that and really perfect it, I think that you can massively enhance any business performance. And as I said earlier, doing this across different sectors, it doesn't matter. If people are generally happier in life and work, they do a better job on both, and therefore the results follow and make for a successful business.
And how are you applying that into the business exactly? There is a structure that you follow to help achieve that healthy and happy
employee?
Yeah, I think first of all, people talk about like authentic leadership. I think you have absolutely got to be authentic. I think you've got to treat staff with the respect like grown-ups. Back in years and years ago, people treated employees like a commodity, right? So they were people in their ivory towers, sitting in their big offices, treating the people who worked for them as like lesser beings. That's definitely not the way any business I've worked in has operated. I think you've got to be fair and authentic with people and tell them. Sometimes I find with all the workforces, if you give them an answer to a question, they might not like the answer, but the fact that they've got the answer from someone is a really positive thing. I think finding out what matters to the workforce, and different workforces might be slightly different in different sectors, but largely if you can tap into what's important to them, whether it be trust, freedom. I mean, since COVID, hybrid working has been a bit of a game changer, I think, for most knowledge workers, and how much you flex and how much trust you give people to be able to manage their lives is really important. So in our business now, we generally ask people to come into the office a couple of times a week. That seems to be the perfect balance for us. Might not be the perfect balance for a different business somewhere else, but it's working for us really well. I think if we were to take it away, we'd have unhappy staff, which would then impact our business performance. So I think you just got to tap into what your employees want, what they're looking for, almost like what is the deal? If you do this for us, we will do that for you. If you're really clear about that, then I think you can take steps to move forward. And we've just got different iterations of that through our employee engagement strategy, what we do. And we never lose the ability to add fun into the workplace, because it's quite a serious place to be when you're in work and in business. If you can enjoy what you're doing along the way, it certainly helps to get the results.
And so you have said about engaging strategy. Do you have some strategy in place, and how do you roll them into the business?
Yeah, so we've got a communications engagement strategy led by what I will say is the most creative, amazing communication engagement team that we've got. Nothing is out of bounds in the scheme of making things really fun and getting the staff to adopt things. So as an example, without probably stepping too far ahead, we're on a big mission to try and roll out artificial intelligence across the business, right? One of the things that we've realized is that some people don't know where to start. So they have an appetite and they think AI can help them, but they don't really know what they need. So last week, and I was traveling, so I wasn't at the event, but the comms and engagement team set up almost like a doctor's surgery. We had so the people in our business who are the early adopters, who are the AI specialists. One of them was like a doctor automation. The other one was, I don't know, doctor spreadsheet. And people literally came along and we got them like the white doctor's coats. So they were in our front floor. They had curtains around them, and people literally went to them and said, I think that if I put this spreadsheet into an AI tool, it might help me produce a board report. Can you show me how to do it? And I've only seen the pictures and heard the feedback from the day, but it was fun. The guys who were the gals who were the doctors for the day had a great time. And because people were going and receiving something and coming away with some knowledge and something that'll benefit them, it was a really engaging day. Now, when I first pitched that to the comms and engagement team and to our AI committee, if you like, I think they all looked like we were a bit bonkers, but it worked. Everyone had a good time. It's memorable. It'll stay. And now we're planning to probably do these every month now.
That's really, interesting. Yeah, it's something that is a program that you have built with your team to roll out, every month kind of activity.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And you also have built different culture that win. When businesses are going through major shift with adopting AI, how do you ensure that the culture remain an asset that doesn't become the biggest point of resistance?
So I think it actually probably giving you an insight into what we've just done on that day. So a big part of our culture today is, this is probably one of the nicest businesses I've ever worked in. So people actually love coming together. They love spending time together, and it's such a friendly workforce, right? So when we're doing AI initiatives and trying to get people to adopt and help with the transformation of it, we're literally latching onto that. So the doctor's surgery was a really good idea because it was fun. It was the kind of quirky thing that we do anyway, and it was a reason to get everyone in the same place to engage with it. When we started on our AI journey, we wanted to get the early adopters to try and lead the way a little bit. We didn't just call it like a committee or a council. We came up with like a quite cool name. So our AI, I don't know, experts, if you like, are called the Guardians, and they all got like a special hoodie saying they're a Guardian, an AI Guardian, and people from around the business can come and approach them and ask them questions about AI. We had an open AI day where the AI Guardians demonstrated things, and that's like being quirky is part of our culture. So part of the transformative journey of AI into our business, we kept it quirky and we continue to keep it quirky. About 10 minutes ago, I literally got an email from our Chief Product Officer, Jill, and Graham, the CEO, who's both massive advocates for AI in our business. We did an event called, we were talking about our new products and apps and website and stuff several months ago, and it was called Postcards from the Future. We wanted staff to imagine they were 5 years, how their booking journey would be in 5 years. They want to do like a follow-up because we've developed a brand new product to launch really soon to the market, but we want to show staff it. And the CEO just said, "Is it Christmas cards from the future?" And we'll like build on that series, if you like. So we'll think about what we call it, but that's kind of thing. I think you need to latch on to like, what is make your culture what it is today? What are the successful bits of your culture? And, don't go and do something new if you don't need to. Weave the great bits into what you want to transform into, and you'll be on the right path.
This seems really exciting. And how um, how are you working with people to embrace new technology like AI? Because sometimes, on this program, you probably are facing some resistance, and how do you overcome that?
I think it's got to be down to education, right? So a lot of the time when people are resisting something, it's because they're slightly fearful of it. And I think you've also got to be really honest, right? Artificial intelligence is going to change people's jobs, right? So I don't think we can sit here and say it's not going to change people's jobs. What we're doing is trying to give them the time back so that they can do higher value elements of their job and not focus so much on the transactional elements. And I think we are being really upfront and honest about that. So we're trying to record how many hours that people are using. We're celebrating success stories where people have made something in AI that has really changed their day. And I went to a conference recently. There was a guy on the stage, and he was a bit of an AI specialist, not from our business, but he almost went down the route of like AI or die. Like, so he was like, "I'll make no apologies. It's taken over the world." I'm not sure we're saying that, but we're being really truthful about it to say AI is going to factor in all of our jobs. We're leaning into it. We see it as a value creation mechanism for us. It's definitely going to be a key differentiator for us in the marketplace. So engage with it, and we will help you engage with it, and we'll support you. But like, this isn't about it taking your job. This is about making your job different so you can continue to do that job in the future.
Yeah, seems a really fun place to work.
It
Yeah,
is.
exciting. Yeah. And what practical example you can give us? Maybe we are still early in the journey of the adoption of AI, maybe as many businesses are doing, but do you see already some tangible commercial outcome in some implementation of AI in your department?
Yeah, I think we're probably a little bit further on than most with the adoption, because we've got a supremely talented tech and product department who I actually think were probably the early resistors who are now probably using it in advancements in a way that we didn't expect. I think we were surprised initially about like engineers and their resistance to use AI because it was doing the things that they were doing. But I think it's now allowing them to create and innovate in a way that they never thought before. We have come up with a whole load of different process changes, which are making significant efficiencies in our business that simply would have took huge amounts of tech squads. And it might not have been like high value changes. It was probably high transactional, low value stuff, but that's created immense value and time in our business. Little things like one of the guys in our product department, he created, I was exploring something. So we get lots of phone calls from our employee base about the benefits that we've got. Can I just check? Can I claim my dental? How do I do it? So that's quite low value for the HR department, but it's a high amount of calls because we've got lots of people who work in the field. He said, "Why don't you just set up a voice agent that can handle and answer them calls as long as you've got all the details in SharePoint or wherever it need be. And I said, well, we have, because we keep on top of all that document and all the brochures are in there and the policies and whatever. So he set up a voice agent, which we now call Hermione. So there's a bit of a HR play in the name. And actually now, if you want to know what your entitlement is to claim back on your dental or how to go and process an eye test voucher or whatever, you literally phone the number and HR Hermione answers your call. And the satisfaction rate we've had to date has been really, really positive. And it's obviously getting better all the time. What that's took on a most basic level is it's given me another HR officer who can focus on people, high value people interventions instead of general queries. Now that's a small example in my department, but like across our business, this is happening all the time. And I think actually we're continually looking for other things that we can do to really validate the value into the business. So we've just done a staff survey. It's the first survey we've ever done where we inserted a load of AI questions. You know, how many hours is it saving you a week? What would you do if we took the tools off you? Which is a really interesting question to ask people. You might not like it, but if I stopped you using it, would you be upset? Type of thing. So yeah, I think there's a whole range of things you can do, but it's really working for us. And we're probably still early on, you know, when you talk about some of these big companies because AI has been around for years and years, but I think we're probably a little bit more advanced than most.
And are you using internal tools or external? Do you host your own models? What is your
everything? Yeah, so internal, external, we've got our own development, we've got our own LLMs. There's a team building what they're calling like a concierge service for the travel product in the future. But if it's there and it's available to use, then we are tapping into it. I think the good thing the CEO did when we started on our AI journey was he started off by giving unfettered access to all tools. So he said, like, with the Guardians in particular, if you want to go and try and experiment and use some of the external tools and you think they're of benefit, we're going to like remove all barriers from you being able to do that. Then what we did was like phase 2 was to put some policies in and some guardrails and to start assessing the tools to see which ones were safe, which ones we should be using in the business. And then we coupled them with our own. So I would say like probably better off speaking to the tech guys, but if you went into one of the departments, you might find that we've got an internal model speaking to an external model, you know, connected through some clever API or something, which has given us the fastest, quickest business benefit that we can get from it. But I know, I mean, when I go to our AI Guardian sessions, sometimes it's way over my technical head, but some of the stuff that they are developing and creating themselves is mind-blowing.
Yeah, really exciting. And talking about AI business transformation, as we explore a lot through our channel, I want to understand a little bit more about how do you think AI is really changing the way we operate, you know, the businesses from also HR perspective. Would be good to, you know, outline how do you think is the work is evolving? What are the bigger difference that AI is changing?
Yeah, I think I've heard this term a lot, so I'm not claiming it to be my term, but people saying like AI is democratizing intelligence. I absolutely see that. I mean, I'm not your numbers guy, right? But I reckon if I really focused for maybe a week or 10 days using AI, I could start producing accounts and stuff like that. The stuff that people are taught is the stuff that I think AI can do. I mean, you're still always going to need someone to validate and check, right? Because hallucinations and one thing or another. But I actually think that the stuff that we're educated on is the bit that AI can just level up. The interesting bit, which I'm really concerned about now, not concerned, but interested in, is the bit that I don't think AI has got to or got to yet. You know, never say never. Is that emotional intelligence? So I am probably leveling up from any recruitment into our business on, you know, let's assume that they've got the technical ability to do the job that we're recruiting for, but let's really focus on the emotional intelligence, because that judgment, reading the room, making a call, doing a decision on something is the bit that I think we really need to have as a key skill set in our business moving forward, because lots of people can do stuff they couldn't do before with AI, and it's super fast, right? It's super quick. I mean, I have to do detail a lot in my job, as you can imagine, but I hate doing it. So therefore, like doing something as simple as a board report used to take me a good half a day, rereading it. It's going, it's going to the boards, going to the investors. I want to make sure it's spot on. But I can probably knock a board report out in like 35 minutes now. And probably 15, 20 minutes of that is checking it.
And how do you have processes to um, inside of the organization to adopt AI? What actually is the process that you normally are using while rolling out? You have mentioned something before, the approach, but would be good to understand a little bit more in details.
Yeah, so we're probably at the cusp. Actually, we just finished our last financial year where we've done our appraisals and all that kind of stuff. So we're literally in the height of like setting objectives for the coming year. We've got like a new user mechanism of a house model with pillars and all that kind of stuff for our business strategy. And we're literally thinking about like AI is a key pillar of that. And we make no apologies for it. It is a differentiator for us. So we are going to make sure that every single employee in the business has an AI objective, as well as some AI must-dos, as in completing their legal and mandatory training and stuff like that. And we're making it compulsory. So like we've created some really fun AI training in the business, which we've done ourselves. We're using a mix of ChatGPT and almost like a podcast kind of vibe to it. That's gone down really well. And we're insisting everyone does it now. If you're a housekeeper working in the middle of a forest, making beds, you might be sitting there thinking, why do I need to do AI? What we're saying to them is that you'll find a way that it can help you in your job, some way, shape or form. And if you do, let us know. And if for the best ones, we'll recognize it. We're making sure we're giving out recognition prizes, stuff like that. So from this year, everyone's got to have an AI objective, at least one. Obviously the departments who lean into tech a little bit more will have far more than that. And we're now starting to really celebrate when AI has made a difference into the business and reward people accordingly. I'm even like thinking, I once worked in aerospace and it wasn't AI, but people who latched onto continuous improvement that back then, when I worked there, like Six Sigma, I remember a guy saving £1 million, so we'd give him like a £10,000 holiday. I'm thinking, can you follow that model through in an AI way? If someone saves £100,000, you give them a share of it. I don't know. I think anything's possible, and we're just working through these thoughts at the minute.
Yeah, seems an exciting model. Yeah, so incentivate people to adopt AI through some reward if they, find way of saving time, of improve productivity, and share that with them. Yeah, seems really good initiative. Yeah.
I've got this idea, and like it's the opinion of one, right? So and I've not spoken to the CEO about it yet, but it's certainly for our shared services. I think there could be a world where if everyone in central services, because we're all desk-based, using computers all day, all doing admin tasks and all this kind of stuff, if you can demonstrate that you can save 7 hours a week using AI, there's a chance I might consider letting you work a 4-day week, but keeping 5 days pay. If you did that, we could almost get central services operating on a Friday just through the use of AI. Now, people say I'm crazy, that's mad, it's ambitious. I think there'll be businesses out there who go, well, if you could do that, then you would save a day's worth of labor. But I actually think it's probably more value creating and more ambitious to be able to say to the staff, you can have the time back for you in your personal life because we'll just get the machines to run the business on one day. And I actually think the bigger benefit would be staff turnover would reduce because you'd never get that gig anywhere else. It'd be easy to recruit, so you'd get exceptional talent into your business because who wouldn't want that kind of deal? And actually, I see people at the minute who are saving large amounts of time, just have to reinvest in that time into something else. So I'm going to keep going with it, and I will pilot it somewhere. I'm sure I will. I'll probably have a few people thinking I need to screw my head back on, but I genuinely think there's an opportunity to do something like that.
Yeah, sounds super exciting. Yeah, great ideas. I think I can see how that could roll out. And Stephen, we're talking about a bit of the automation side, but one part also of AI is that could also improve employee performance and could improve the engagement have you thought about that? Have you working on something to do that?
Yeah, I think, like I said earlier, I think we're currently at the point where we're starting to measure things now. It's all right saying, yeah, AI helps me in my day. How much? To what benefit? Like, is it freeing you up more time to spend on something else? Is it doing your job for you? Like, how can you do more with less? Like, so it's less about removing jobs. But actually, if someone naturally leaves and then AI can fill a gap, should you do that so that people can do more interesting work? I think that's the key thing for me, is like AI doing the monotonous, boring work right now can free staff up to do the really interesting stuff. The really interesting stuff makes you a happier, as if like more flourishing individual. Therefore, it's got to make sure that you engage more, which means happy return. And what I said at the start is it's better for the business. So I think we just need to keep on that. I think the businesses who are solely trying to use AI to cost cut are going to fail, because they will not get it right, and they'll just backtrack. It'll be like they'll release, I don't know, a few hundred, 500 people, and then they'll realize they have to get 300 or 400 back to do the check-in. So I think it's about like experimenting, making the business efficiencies, but trying to do it in a way that is not to cost cut, is to improve your business benefit and the outcome for consumers, investors, and the likes.
That's incredible. You have also it seems really a forward-looking organization, and you have focused a lot on future-ready the organization. What do you think are some of the key important elements that would be uh, some non-negotiable for organization in the next 3 to 5 years that businesses has to keep an eye on?
Yeah, I think like people are talking about like the AI bubble burst, and I don't think it is. I think you've just got to lean into it, right? So it's not going anywhere. For the people as old as me who've seen the internet coming, this is absolutely just that all over again, but on steroids. So I think you need to really play with it's probably the wrong word, because it's a serious thing, right? But like, play with AI, get to see how it works into your business. If you avoid it, I mean, like that guy who said at that conference, AI or die. I think businesses who don't, in some way, shape, or form, get it into their business strategy and structure, if you ignore it, I don't think you'll survive. I really don't. I think, like, if you want a business to last and to be here when the next thing comes, post that, whatever that's going to be, then I think you really need to lean into it. And to do that, you're going to have to get the workforce feeling safe enough to go on that journey with you. I think you have to engage them in a way that they know what your end game is, which is just trying to make everything better for everyone. But like, I spoke to a business last week and they were like, it's just a fad. It's not going to happen. We're not putting it into our business. The staff don't want it. The executive team don't want it. And I just sat there quietly thinking, probably won't.
Really?
Yeah, I sat there thinking, I will not see you at another event, because you won't be, you will not last very long at all. This guy who was almost like dinosaur like in his approach, but he was quite a successful guy, so it really shocked me. But he was definitely thought it was a fad. And I said, I used the example, right? My wife, when I first started using AI and ChatGPT became like the thing that most people are using, I'd say to my wife, why don't you use ChatGPT? No, robots are going to take over. You're an idiot. You're going to cause World War III. This is what she said. Now I see her, taking pictures of her plants outside to see what she should treat them. She wrote a complaint letter using ChatGPT last week. But when you start getting the naysayers involved, and I think there's only one way you go.
Yeah, it's fascinating to see how we sometimes struggle to adapt of changes. But if we think back, there is work that 20 years ago there were no jobs, or even 30, 60. If you go back 60 years, they were completely different. We were working, probably 80% of jobs that there are today, they were not existing 60 years ago. So
Yeah.
we have been going through a big transformation. Now we got used to things, but technology is gonna keep changing, and society is gonna change. So adapting is probably one of the main skills. I always invite people to practice changing, adapting, and embracing new ideas, because it's just about getting new information, that we have been able to create this complex society, big abundance that we have achieved. It's just about getting, growing and grow our knowledge, and through scientific discoveries, through our, history. So yeah, we had to be always open to new things, and yeah, keep constantly learning. Yeah.
I always think of, that vision of, do you remember the old typing pools where all the ladies would be sat on the typewriters in an office and there'd be maybe, 50 of them or whatever. If we hadn't made any advancements, how big would that office be now? With all of the written correspondence that goes back and forward every second, how big would that typing pool be now? The people who stand still stay where they are. That's what I say. They don't make no moves. They stand still, they dig their feet in, and everyone bypasses them. So, I might be coming towards the back end of my career now, but I absolutely keep moving forward. I actually think it's quite exciting as well. It enthuses me. I think it's hard to get other people enthusiastic about something that you don't enjoy. I've always been one to see the next advancement. I remember my dad told me once not to get a car with electric windows because it's just one more thing that could break. And like, how many people have a car that doesn't have electric windows now? Like, it's yeah. So I guess I've always been a bit of a futurist. I'm excited to see what the future does. I mean, I can't wait for flying cars. That's just the type of personality I am. But not everyone's the same.
Yeah, exactly. Not everyone is the same. There is different, early adopters and who comes later on, and innovators. So yeah, definitely excited to see of many possibility that we are gonna see in the next 10, 15 years. And this is why I want to take you, if you will help us envision, a day into the work of an employee, of a chief people officer in 10, 15 years. How would you envision?
As a chief people officer, do you know what? I think actually you're probably going to have a blended workforce of humans will still exist. I have no doubt there'll always be a place for humans to do quality work that requires judgment and just that human interaction. I think there'll be a mix of digital agents all over the place doing all the low transactional, high volume, low value stuff. And who's to say that we won't have literally virtual robots in the office? I think you'll be managing a workforce of that full blend. And actually, it terrifies me to think of like what the human capital's requirements would be from their employer then. I mean, if you think back to the old Ford days, it was just an hourly rate for the job. Even fast forward to today, people want well-being, development, growth, incentives, you name it, the list, fresh fruit, street Fridays, beer trolleys, that the list goes on. But actually, do you know what? If they're doing a great job in 10 to 15 years and they've got them demands and businesses going well, and you should be coming up with a way to be able to deliver for them. But I think it's going to be hugely fascinating. I think within this stage at the minute where people are starting to realize the value they give to a business, as well as the business realizing that the value they're getting from the human capital. And that's going to be significantly different. But what cool stuff will we be creating and offering to people in the future? Just in our staycation business, I mean, how will I just talk to a device in my home somewhere to book a holiday without ever touching a keypad, without ever getting my bank card out of my pocket, without, I won't have to look for 500 properties because I'll just be presented with 2. It'll book me the restaurants around the corner because it knows I'll be traveling there at 8 p.m. It'll ask me if I'm taking my dog with me so to find me a dog-friendly restaurant. That kind of effortless transaction in the world, I think, is fascinating. I actually think that's probably in the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, really, really excited to see the development. Sometimes we are, we don't able to see things clearly how they are going to evolve. But we looking forward to see and what are the benefits that are bringing to our businesses and society. And Stephen, I want to also ask, because I always ask this question, there are also a lot of risk about, AI, as we are really excited about all the, as business people, entrepreneur, we always see the big upside, but I think there are also some downside that we have to talk about. Many people are now, I've been seeing a report, and 2/3 of the world is concerned about cost of living, and also if they are gonna have enough jobs because of this big wave of automation. So what do you think about that, and how do you think we can take forward?
Yeah, I think there is risk. There's enough of the key AI creators and adopters who are talking about it. You see them on podcasts all the time, don't you? I think that's why it's important to have the guardrails. It's, as dull as it sounds, it's important to have the policies that guide you. And I think it's important to be really ethical. I never fail to learn about some of the risks. And actually, it's the workforce that educates me sometimes. So one of our ladies in our marketing department reached out to me and said, "Are you sure that AI is not enhancing gender bias?" Which hadn't really crossed my mind. It just hadn't. But now I'm going to look into it and explore it and see if it is in some way, shape, or form. I think we just need to be mindful of what AI is great at, where it is in its own development. But yeah, it's coming out at a speed of knots. But like where it goes wrong, you as well as me, Michael, probably get emails from people and you think that's come from AI and that is gobbledygook. It makes no sense. They haven't even checked it. They've not looked at it. Or it's got some what you suspect is kind of intelligent thinking in it, and you think that person doesn't know what that even means. So have they sent that to me? Or so I think there's a lot of people who are lazy, as in like general life. There's some people who are using it to do their work for them and not casting their eye over it and checking it. I think that has got significant amount of risk to it. But yeah, I think you've just got to keep on top of the things, and you've just got to make sure you've got good governance in the business. I think you've got to be aware of like, like I remember one of our first AI days that we did from an educational perspective, and I guess speaker talked about the hallucinations. I'd been using AI and I wasn't even aware of that, but it made sense to me when he articulated it. So I think education's massive, but as long as you can mitigate the risks where you can and you understand them, I think it's not the worst place to be. Be interesting to see when people talk. I always think in the film I, Robot, that's the biggest risk, right? Do you ever remember that film with Will Smith? That's the biggest risk. If the robots take over, then we've all had it. But I think it feels like there's enough people in the world worrying about that I might be not so much have to.
Well, but I personally not so much worry about AI taking over the world. Um, there is a small percentage of probability that could have some losing control, but I think there are higher risk, like like bad actors using AI.
Yeah.
A really powerful AI system in the hands of bad actors that could be much more, dangerous than the machine taking over. So that is a much bigger,
But
risk.
is that any different to a burglar who once acquired an electric screwdriver to break into a window? It means that he went from a crowbar to a screwdriver. This is just evolution, right? This is just
Yes,
it's just time. So I do think like there's criminality develops in the same way the world does. So people always get more sophisticated. We went keyless cars, and now they've developed a thing where they can open the car without the key. It's just like one of them things. So I find there'll always be someone trying to mitigate these big problems. You getting, the big people from the likes of Google and big people from politicians, prime ministers, presidents, who are all saying we've got to really look at this stuff. So I personally tend to think there's other people better than me. You've got this. We'll see where we get to. The job one is interesting because I also think, like, if you think back in the day, people making motor vehicles, they was probably very labor intensive. They were probably hand screwing steering wheels in and all that. And now we used to worry robots and robotics was going to take it all over. I still know thousands of people who work down the road from me in Jaguar Land Rover. They just got better jobs as engineers, and they're probably using more AI to program stuff and all that, making the jobs more interesting. So it'd be interesting to see it pan out, but it doesn't go without risk. I agree with you.
Yeah, and another concern from my side is the decentralization of power of internet, as it is still centralizing technology put in the hands of few big companies, leaving out many uh, many other players in the space. So that there is a concern, and will many countries be able to keep up with the fast pace of this technology? And we starting to see, I think, this across the world, as we know that this kind of technology, they tend to brings back home the value that they are distributing. How can we, make sure that, uh, yeah, also many other countries are able to, yeah, create value through technology, because otherwise we end up having, major player US and China playing this and capturing all the value on the marketplace. And this is what happening. I mean, US has been grown at 3.8% GDP the third quarter of this year. In Europe, UK, we are basically been in stagnation. So 0.1% growth between July and September. So yeah, there are challenges that we have to address, and we maybe have to remove some barrier to innovate faster and be more open, and allocate more capital in innovation so that we can keep up with the fast pace of this technology.
Yeah, I think I'd probably be a fool to think that not every country is doubling down on investment in AI, whether they're broadcasting it or not. I think it's important to see how things right, because you're right, there's several countries who could just lead the way, but it's no different to like a arms race, is it? Like who's got what, who really knows, and who's making significant advancements. The big companies have the potential to have a bit of a monopoly, whilst I agree, but then the small startups are starting up way quicker than they ever could with the power of AI. So it's going to be an interesting one. It seems to be, though, like, I don't know about you, but I'm seeing the same people who created the large LLMs and that kind of stuff all seem to have the same fears and concerns. And in a strange way, I see that as a good thing, because hopefully they will come together to try and solve the problem for the world, the planet. Because I think, like you said before, huge benefits, huge risk. But I do think it's the first time something like this where people have been vocal about the risks as well as the benefits to the scale that they have. I mean, you've seen many a podcast where it's like AI is going to kill everyone and AI is taking over, AI is going to be the end of the world and all this type of stuff. But the fact that people are talking about it's
there
the
is there is podcast they talking about that.
Yeah, it was the guy from what's the guy who was Google? I can't remember his name. He was on the
Yeah.
he was on the Diary of a CEO. It might have been 12 months ago now, and he was saying, he started off with robots trying to be tactile or something, and now they perfected it, and he worries that like it's going to leap forward, and therefore it's too risky and no one can control it. But then I've seen in the recent 6 months, there's a number of people who I used to think like that, but we've put some plans in place now. We've got some policy. We understand how it's going. So if you've got enough of them bright people all worried about the same thing, there's got to be a point where they come together and solve some of these issues. Let's hope so.
Stephen, and so for closing, if you have some advice for people watching that they feel overwhelmed by the speed of change of AI, what are some of crucial advice and steps they can take to update them culture and keep update with the fast pace of innovation?
Yeah, I think the important thing for me is in something that's going as fast as it is and developing at the speed it is. Might sound strange, but slow down a bit. So slow down, understand what's going on, find out who the people in your business is who are way ahead of you and lean into them a little bit around helping them support and educate the business. Don't jump on every single fad, because some of them fads in AI will not be for your business or be for you. and just get to a place where you've got like a base level understanding. This is going so fast. It's easy to jump straight to number 10, but you have to go through the logical steps in order to be able to understand what you're doing. I actually think, like I said before, I think you've got to embrace it. I don't think anyone really has a choice if you want to survive. Understand the risks, get your guardrails in place. But you know what? It's fun and exciting. And if you can lean into that and get your staff in, then you should be in a good place.
Stephen, thank you very much. I would like one thing, and let's keep open mind and, embrace new ideas. I always, as Einstein said once, the measure of intelligence is the ability to change. So I always keep, saying this because I think it really makes a difference for ourselves and the people around us, so we can keep, embracing new information and keep growing. Stephen, thank you very much for your time. I hope to have you again, maybe in 6 months, a year. We are going to see how the technology is evolving. I want to try to keep meeting, leader as a 6 month, a year time, so we can see the differences. We can keep track what has changed, and see this transformation happening in the world right now. So thank you very much again.
You're welcome, Mike. I'd love to come back on. It was a really enjoyable conversation. So thank you. Thank you for hosting so perfectly.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thanks.
Hi there. Welcome to my channel. I'm Michael Coppola. I'm excited to have you here. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Together, let's explore the incredible potential of entrepreneurship, business innovation, and technology to take your